Give me a fat beat to beat my body chest.
Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? Today we're going to have a bit of a gauntlet, and it's a super fun time. And we're going to be playing against my friend Jamal, who has also qualified alongside me for the regional championship in Atlanta in December this year. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be playing a bunch of sweet decks in best of 3 matches against his blue-white control list. And maybe he surprises me with 1 or 2 others. To be determined. We'll find out. But I expect to be playing against blue-white control. The first list that we're going to be playing today is going to be this version of mono blue spirits, and this is what I think I would take into a tournament if I were to play this deck right now. And it's got some elements of things that I've been enjoying and some elements of what Hirosukai, Japanese mono blue spirits expert, has also been doing. I have not been super high on Ascendant Spirit lately, and that's because a lot of decks like Mono Green, Mono White Humans, Rakdos, both versions, they tend to gum up the ground fairly easily, which means until this thing is a 4/4 flyer, it's not necessarily the most reliable attacker. So I'm going to be playing only 2 copies of Ascendant Spirit, but a card that has been performing super well has been Brazen Borrower, so we're going to be playing all 4 copies of that here. Everything else, though, is relatively normal mono blue stuff. The reason I mentioned Hirosukai is not because of Icon of Ancestry. I won't be playing that today, but I will be playing 2 copies of Show Up in the main with copies of Slip Out the Back in the sideboard and Fading Hope to kind of fade the more aggressive decks in the format. So if we face any mono blue, mono white, mono red, any of the lower to the ground decks, Fading Hope is going to look really good. Of course, knowing Jamal, these will have absolutely no sight in today's testing session, but it's still good against what the format is doing as a whole. Specifically against him, I've also got things like Reckoner Bankbusters to keep up on card advantage and Mystical Dispute. This is not in the deck because I think that we need the help against control, but remember that Azorius Spirits is a top 3 or 4 deck in the format right now, and between Fading Hope and Mystical Dispute, we also have some solid game against them. It just so happens to be the case that against blue-white control, Mystical Dispute is also great. So that's going to be our little deck tech for today. We're going to get some games in. I'll see y'all for the first round. Be sure to check out additional content from myself, Nikachu, the Commander Cookout, and others at themanabase.com. All right, look at us go. We actually got the die roll here, and our hand is not bad. I've got Ascendant Spirit into Wanderer and Shore Up with a couple of Supreme Phantoms, so I am a little worried with this specific hand against something like a Supreme Verdict, but I think so far we're looking okay. So, of note, the reason we want to start with Ascendant Spirit and not Mausoleum Wanderer is just in case we draw Curious Obsession for the turn. If we do, then I have the ability to put Curious Obsession onto the Ascendant Spirit and also protect it with the Wanderer. As it stands, we didn't really need to do that, so I'll just go ahead and cast the Mausoleum Wanderer and pass. Now, if we draw a 3rd land for the turn, I can go ahead and pump up with Supreme Phantom, holding up the same Show Up. So now I get to attack for 5. And this is going to feel pretty nice. The only card that I'm really scared of here is Temporary Lockdown, which I am absolutely terrified of. But let's go ahead here and not put mana into anything. I'm just going to go ahead and attack for 5. And we're really just kind of hoping for the best here. So there's a Shark Typhoon for 1, which is, of course, going to feel pretty good for him. He gets to save a little bit of life, blocking the Mausoleum Wanderer. Okay, so since I know I'm already not planning on casting another spell here, I don't mind putting mana into the Ascendant Spirit, putting him to 10, hoping to fade a copy of Supreme Verdict. We don't fade it. And now I just have a Supreme Phantom. It is going to feel a little bit lonely here, but that's what happens. So if these Shore Ups were the Slip Out the Backs that used to live in the main deck, then, you know, I feel pretty decent about that. But let's see what happens here. This is probably a Dovin's Veto. It is. Okay, so the veto is going to resolve. My Shore Up sucks at life, but I do have the second Shore Up here. So now my Supreme Phantom is going to live. I do not, unfortunately, draw the Curious Obsession, but a Spectral Sailor certainly does not suck. So now he points another spell at this, I assume. It's another lay down arms. That happens. And I'm hoping to God this Spectral Sailor doesn't get countered. Please do not absorb this. Okay, time to cuss. So let's untap. No, I needed that last turn. Okay, sad times all around. So now I'm... Okay, Faceless Haven, to be fair, is a pretty good start. But 7 mana here, if this is something really scary, like another shark, or maybe, oh god, a 5/5 shark, can't do much about that. But remember that this list does have 4 copies of Brazen Bower in it. So we do have outs to this, even, oh my Lanta, even if it's not pretty. So does he bother attacking? He does, okay. Which actually scares me a little bit because he knows I have the Faceless Haven face up. Pun unintended, I guess. So let's see what bad thing happens to my Faceless Haven. Hopefully nothing. What's this? An Otawara. Okay, that's fine. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but it is going to happen. So we're just going to have playing our Mausoleum Wanderer and passing. So I'm still hoping to find a copy of a Brazen Bow or something to bounce this. But for now, that's a little scary. And he does go ahead and pass the turn, which unfortunately means we have to as well. He's only got 5 mana, so this isn't getting flashed back, but if there's another Deluge or a Quick Study in hand, he still has some decent amount of velocity here. So unfortunately, I think this game is kind of wrapped up, but we will at least give ourselves a shot if I can manage to draw something like a Borrower here. Rattlechain's not terribly helpful, and we'll pack it up. So that's going to be the game 1, and we kind of got dunked on, but Slip Out the Backs are going to help a lot. So we've got the Slip Out the Backs, the Mystical Disputes, and the Reckoner Bankbusters. Out come to things that I don't necessarily care about here. So we actually don't really want Supreme Phantom, even though that's borderline blasphemy. Reason is you play Supreme Phantom at sorcery speed, which already kind of sucks, but also you just don't really need to be walking your things like you know, your sorcery speed creatures like your Shacklegeist and your Supreme Phantoms into the Supreme Verdicts because, you know, you already want to be casting things at instant speed, protecting them, and just not really walking into that super devastating spell as we saw. So here we're going to be on the play, and this hand is a lot better with the Sailor and the Bankbuster. The Bankbuster on the play is especially good, and the Brazen Bower is going to help a lot against Shark Typhoons. So let's go ahead and see if this catches a Dispute. It does not, so we get to untap with a Shore Up. So I'm going to go ahead, attack here, and then Bankbuster main phase 2. So now I'm feeling a lot more confident about our ability to try to keep up on cards. So that happens, and I'm going to go ahead and play the Faceless Haven and just attack for 1. So let's pass the turn here, see what happens. Nothing. I do love it when nothing happens, at least for them. So now they can Field of Ruin my Faceless Haven, and I can't do much about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw the card, and I expect this to die. It does not. But now we've got the mega blowout potential here. So what happens is, if he decides to try to face Field of Ruin my Faceless Haven, what I'm going to get to do is activate the Faceless Haven and Shore Up to protect it. Oh man, we've got one angry friend coming right up. He said, oops. Yeah, that's, sorry, buddy. What's that, a Prairie Stream? Okay. So now this can die to a Laydown Arms, and there's not much I can do about that, but him being down a land is absurdly huge game for us. So we're going to go ahead and attack. I'm not going to put a Faceless Haven in danger quite yet, but I will play a Mausoleum Wanderer into a potential Supreme Verdict. Okay, so we're going to pass here, and if he untaps and plays Supreme Verdict, instead of last time just kind of having to cross my fingers, what I get to do this time is just, I'm letting that happen, is draw a card with Reckoner Bankbuster and Rattlechain so that I still have some semblance of a clock. When I get to combine that ability with the 2 Brazen Bowers in hand, I'm feeling pretty okay. Okay, and I'm not going to cast my Rattlechains just yet. Instead, I'm just going to play a land, pass, and if we are looking at a Shark Typhoon, I'll be pretty happy to have 3 Petty Thefts available. We're just going to pass. Like, I have the ability to generate a lot of cards and power, so there's no real reason for me to touch anything. Another Bankbuster is quite good, and I don't mind tapping all the mana. If he decides to cycle a Shark or even put in a Wandering Emperor, I'm okay with either of those outcomes. Alright, so now we get to just untap. And a CO is pretty good, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the CO on the Spectral Sailor, crew up the Reckoner Bankbuster, and if he decides to Wandering Emperor targeting the Bankbuster, I'm actually pretty okay with that. That's fine too. Okay, and now I'm going to cast the second Bank Buster and just keep up 4 mana and be pretty happy about where I am. I'm sorry, 5 mana, not 4. And a Supreme Verdict is what happens. I am pretty okay with that, actually. And I actually will flash in one of these. So let's see if this is a Mystical Dispute. If it is, you got me. That's fine. And I'm going to flash into Rattle Chains here. But now I get to Faceless Haven up and attack for just 6, not 8. I don't have a way to... Yeah, okay. I had to think about that. I'm like, do I have a way to make 8 damage? No, I only have a way to make 6 damage. So we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. So now I can draw a card plus Geistlight Snare. That feels pretty good. Okay. So now we're in the land of wanting problems, not peace. And I'm not going to put this up because it taps me out of blue mana. So I'm just going to attack with these, holding up the option of Geistlight Snare plus Brazen Bower. And that solves that solves Shark Typhoon and or something else. So there's a March, which, keep it real, is pretty good. Yeah, all right, let's just make mana. Can't do much about that. So now what is the other response that he's got? Another March. Okay, that is unfortunate. Since he actually pitched a card, this does mean that I'm stuck just kind of eating this one. I can't Geistlight Snare because he's got 3 mana available, so that's going to happen. He's going to live to fight another day. I suppose I could have used a mana to draw a card, but here I'd rather hold up 4 mana. What is that? A Plains? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw a card here. And what I can do now is draw a card with this Bank Buster, and this creates a 1/1, so I can crew the Bank Buster that's not tapped. So I can do this and still animate my Faceless Haven. All right, he says nice, so hopefully that means that we're done playing this game. Settle the wreckage. I would much rather if you did not. Thank you very much. The best part about this is that Faceless Haven is already declared as an attacker, so I get to just use it to make mana to get rid of this Test of Talents too. So all of that's not happening. So it looks like we are in fact going to a game 3. Bloop, bloop. But man, Faceless Haven, I have missed getting to play Magic with that card. Oh my god. Like, Faceless Haven, even more than Ascendant Spirit, to me, is one of the single biggest draws to playing mono blue over a deck like blue white. Like, blue white does get a much better sideboard than mono blue, but mono blue has infinitely better game ones. This hand is fine. So we're having the problem again that I mentioned earlier of being medium sad that this shore up is not slip out the back, but honestly, I'm still fairly okay with this. So this looks like a Mystical Dispute. That's fine. Already couldn't do much about that. So here, I'd rather just jam this down his throat if possible, and the shore up can potentially help protect against some kind of removal spell, like a March or a Lay Down Arm, since we have seen both of those. Okay, there's the March. So I do, in fact, have the shore up to protect. So now let's see what happens here. Is this just like another... Okay, it is a Lay Down Arms, and I don't use my graveyard at all. I don't really mind gaining to 3. So here I do have the option to put in Brazen Bower, untap CO, since my hand is doing absolutely nothing else, but I think I would rather try to draw a Mystical Dispute or something first. Since I do at least have land drops, these 2 COs are going to feel pretty terrible in a second, especially if he's just got like Quick Study here. Ugh, he does. Gross. Okay, so now let's untap. And a Reckoner Bankbuster is the draw. I think I want to... I guess I'll just walk into a Dovin's Veto. If you have it, you have it. I already can't do anything about that. Oh, sick. I'll be honest, I did not expect that to resolve. Like, he's got Absorb, Dovin's Veto, potentially sides into more copies of that. I will draw my card on this thing's way out. But now I have another creature too, so this is actually pretty decent. Oh, you know what? This is surprisingly still fine. So I'm going to Petty Theft the Lyra and then just counter it back on the way down. And that feels pretty decent. So if he just like jams and I get to Geistlight Snare, I'm feeling really good about these 2 COs. Okay. So now he can Shark where X is 3. So what I can do is put these 2 COs on this. And if he cycles Shark for 3 to block, I've got Rattle Chains and Geistlight Snare. So let's try to do that. Okay. There's the Shark. So now he goes to block. I get to Rattle Chains to pump it up to a 4/4, and the Shark now dies. So I'm going to give the Rattle Chains itself hexproof, I guess. Doesn't actually matter. And the best part about this is that I do have the Geistlight Snare for this Lyra on the... No! That was not what I needed to have happen there. Okay. Let's cast this. Oh, that was upsetting. So I do have to pay full retail if I want to counter Lyra. But I'm going to give myself the chance to do that. If these are a Dovin's Veto, I am super screwed. Phew. All right. Not a Dovin's Veto. Don't March of Otherworldly Lightness either. Okay. So now I get to play Ascendant Spirit. If this resolves, great. If not, I'm actually kind of okay with it. But with my 4 mana, now I can activate plus activate and start presenting a relatively robust suite of threats. So let's first draw a card. I want to draw a card to see if I get like a shore up first. If he marches here, then it is what it is. Quick Study. Yikes. Okay, that's pretty good. It's not, that's fine. Let's use our mana. And this is one of the scenarios where a card like Ascendant Spirit does start to look really good, because now I'm actually able to use my mana productively instead of just kind of sitting here twiddling my thumbs. That's another reason why so many people who play Spirits are huge fans of Spectral Sailor, because when we get to these positions, just the more mana you have the ability to use, just the better, because sometimes your games turn into real slugfests and you just don't really want or need to deal. So if he marches here, then there's nothing I can do about that. And I also can't currently attack through this with a ground pounder. There is a march, but I already didn't have like counterspell or anything else for that. So, oh man. Hey, speak of. All right, cool. So I'm pretty happy about the Spectral Sailor, especially since I have the ability to protect it. 7 mana means that I get to cast, activate, and shore up, and I feel fairly okay about that. Maybe less so now. Another petty theft for this shark would be pretty nice, though. I could have drawn a card during his turn when he was tapped out, but this is actually why I didn't bother doing that, because I think that you know, if he's gonna attack, I don't need to like start pressing buttons early. So the absorb is obnoxious, but I know that I don't have a hard counter for that here, so I think that kind of just is what it is. I'm not gonna walk into a mystical dispute though, so I'm just gonna untap. Yes I will, but with this, not with the petty theft. Okay, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will crew here. And the reason I'm doing this instead of petty thefting first is if he's got some kind of response to this bank buster, I want to make him use his mana now, which he has, rather than doing something like holding up a good counterspell here. So if this is a Dovin's Veto, then sure, I kind of lose to that, but perfect. But doing it like that gave me the ability to make him use all of his mana so that he couldn't pay for this mystical dispute if it ended up being relevant. Luckily for me, it didn't, but we still like to play correctly. And I actually am pretty okay with this. So now I'm going to cast my Brazen Bower here. If this is another dispute, I can dispute back. Absorb, that's fine, I can dispute that. And I'm actually really happy to absorb that. I don't want him gaining life. But now, as it stands, resolving that right now. And I'm going to draw to see if I can get a CO. No, but a Geistlight Snare is not bad. But now my 2-turn clock is bigger than his, so that feels pretty decent, not gonna lie. I am medium sad about not being able to activate this right now, but if this is not a Supreme Verdict, then I'm feeling pretty good. So it's not quite GG's yet, but we are getting to a point where it's very close to that. A Shacklegeist, don't really care about that. I'm gonna give myself a chance to... No, I'm just gonna attack. So we'll attack for 4, he goes down to 3, and that's important because even if Spectral Sailor manages to die, I still get to attack with just Brazen Bower and be pretty happy about that. If this is a verdict, I can draw a card. God damn it, it really was. All right. I mean, that's a pretty good draw. Okay. And a land is not what I wanted, but if I draw another creature, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, never mind, he can activate this. I was going to say, maybe I can fade an activation of this here, Hall of Storm Giants. Oh, wait. Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. Dang it. What I was thinking is that I can crew the Bank Buster, but also tap this. I can't do both because I can't tap my creatures twice. So unfortunately, I am just kind of stuck passing and hoping to fade another big sweeper or something. If it's an Angel, I don't really care. All right, GG's it is. So there's our first match, but to be fair, we do have a pretty good matchup against Blue-White Control as a whole. So let's move on to the next deck. Okay, so next up we've got one of the best decks in the entire format, and that's going to be Rakdos Sacrifice. So this deck does a whole ton of different interactive stuff, a lot like Red-Black Midrange, except this deck is going to be focused more on cards like Mayhem Devil and Obnixilis the Adversary, which give you really, really good synergy-based bonuses rather than doing the normal Rakdos mid-range thing where each card is just decent individually. Here, my tools against him in the sideboard are going to be cards like Duress, Reckoner Bankbuster once again, and also Kolaghan's Command to buy back any creatures that he gets rid of using Supreme Verdict, but also the discard a card mode is pretty good when his whole thing is trying to get card advantage. So let's go ahead and jam again. I assume we'll be playing against blue-white control, and yeah, let's see if we can win again. Okay, so we get to be on the play again as Raksak, and this hand is fucking excellent. So a turn 1 Witch's Oven is pretty decent in case I draw a Cauldron Familiar later on. When he wants to go ahead and remove my creatures, I'd rather have food than the life gain from Laydown Arms or just things in the graveyard without bonuses. Thoughtseize is going to be good later for when I want to push a spell through, so I'm actually not going to cast this on turn 1, but this turn... this curve being turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 is going to feel pretty nice. So I'm going to lead off with my basic swamp into Witch's Oven and see what it is he wants to do. Okay, so the cool part about that, I did not have to deal with a thing like, what am I thinking? March of Otherworldly Light to get rid of this early. Instead, I just get to like develop my board and be pretty happy about that. Especially against a deck like Blue-White Control, I am especially happy to have a companion because I don't want to just jam this into like a Dovin's Veto. Instead, I'm just going to buy Giganta here. So now, if he casts something, okay, cool. If he doesn't cast something, then I get to go ahead and Thoughtseize into Fable, and that's going to feel pretty good. So here, let's go ahead and Thoughtseize. I would love to mind all of your business, and that's going to catch an Absorb. Noted. So now I get to just jam the Fable. And even if he has Supreme Verdict, I get to go ahead, sacrifice one of my creatures to the Witch's Oven, and then still untap and discard these 2 cards, potentially cast Giganta, and just kind of keep the pain train going. So once again, I would much rather have a food token than that the random 3 life against the control deck. I do not care about 3 life in this matchup. I don't really want to claim the firstborn either, but you know, here we are. So let's go ahead and get an attack on, and I'm going to play a Blightstep Pathway. I'm not going to cast Gigantha, and we'll just pass here. Quick Study is going to feel pretty good for him. And now, if he wants to go ahead and do something about this Blood Tithe Harvester, I've got a Deadly Dispute, so I can draw some cards. If it's Laydown Arms, then I can't necessarily resolve this because I am going to be stuck dealing with like Dovin's Veto or Absorb or something like that. But I at least want to make him use that card so that now I can untap and potentially just cast a Gigantha. So let's see what happens. That's an Absorb. Noted. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Blood token, discarding this Claim to Firstborn because it's going to be pretty much useless in this matchup. Thanks, deck. And then untap and just go to resolve a Gigantha. So we have a Kiki token. Here's the Jeff. And I'm going to play the Swamp and we'll pass. If this is a Supreme Verdict coming after all of this, then I am still medium sad about that. But I do want to resolve this Witch's Oven first, actually. And I'm going to attack with both creatures. No, I'm just going to attack with Jeff. I don't want to walk myself into a 3/3 Shark Typhoon, but a Wandering Emperor is pretty annoying too. Okay, so now I get to sacrifice the Gigantha, get 2 more food tokens, and I will be just passing the turn here. So he's got 5 cards in hand plus a Resolved Emperor, so keep it real. This doesn't feel super great, but I suppose it's not nothing either. So let's go ahead, untap, or do I want to use this now? I'm going to use this now while the getting's good. So the reason I'm using that now rather than waiting is because I want to make sure that I'm using my mana on each of my turns the most effectively I'm able to. So I'm going to claim to Firstborn this token with the intent to copy it, attack for 4, and then sacrifice the real one, quotes, another Wandering Emperor. So that one's going to get rid of my friend the Reflection, which is going to be pretty annoying actually. So once again, we're going to get some food. Now that ability resolves, and I'm going to attack the Emperor with the token in the face with, I guess, the one I plan on sacrificing. And let's see if this actually manages to resolve. Hell yeah, actually resolved. Let's go. And sacrifice the one that is going to go back to him otherwise. So the Claim to Firstborns actually did a little bit of solid work there, but now I've got some real work to do. This is going to feel pretty decent as far as starter things go. I'm not going to sacrifice that or discard that. I'm going to submit 0. So let's just go ahead and try to attack again. Okay. And I will try to just resolve this. And it resolved. Okay. So that resolving is relatively scary because he can still just find a copy of something like a Supreme Verdict or something. A card that I really want to see here is like Obnixilis. Teferi is not on the list of cards I wanted to see. Teferi is quite the scary magic card, not gonna lie. All right, so what bad thing is happening here? Okay, so lay down arms. I will go ahead and sacrifice that for more food. Okay, so he gets to untap land, so he's got access to 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and untap. Hey, speaking of devil. And I'm definitely not going to be discarding that. So I want to attack his face. Yes, so this hopefully tempts him to play either a Wandering Emperor or Cycle a Shark for 2. Neither of those things happen, damn it. But I'm still going to cast this with Casualty. So I'm going to get rid of the token here, put 2 copies of Obnixilis on the stack, and see if he has 2 counter spells. Oh my god, no counter spells? Sick. So the way I want to do this is actually just going to double discard. So he loses 2 life unless he discards a card. And I could have made a token with this one, but I actually think that it's probably just a little better to just plus the Obnixilis and work towards either discard or somehow, if it ever gets to that point, resolving the ultimate here. He had 2 lands to discard, so to be honest, that probably felt pretty decent. If he fires this up, I will be fairly happy to block. He will uptick the Teferi, which is also something to be concerned about. And he's going to hard cast a Memory Deluge. Okay, that's pretty good. So what's going to happen is he's going to go ahead and have 3 mana at the end of his turn here. And the only card I think I'm super concerned about that being a thing with is probably Iganjo. But he could also lay down arms my Kiki token, and that sucks too. How many have I seen? 3? 1, 2, 3. Yes. We've seen 3 copies of lay down arms, and he's got 4 mana, not 3. Also good to know. So I'm just going to untap here. Okay, that is actually pretty good for me. So I'm going to simply plus the Obnixilis first. Okay, and let's see what he discards here. Keep checking Teferi's loyalty too, because 7 or 8 is going to be like the scary numbers. I don't want to be anywhere near that. I also want to give myself the chance to either simply make him... Oh, okay. So there's a blood token, which is nice. So now let's see if I get away with just making another Blood Tithe Harvester, or if he's got a March of Otherworldly Light to deal with it. It does, in fact, have a March of Otherworldly Light. Okay, so let's go ahead and sacrifice this, get the food out of it at least. And now our hand is pretty empty looking, so we'll see what ends up happening here. Like, in a pinch, he can Teferi down tick. No! I was using that. I don't know why I'm bothering doing this. That is super irrelevant. I'm going to go ahead and gain 2 life at least. And then I'm going to pop one of the, or pop the treasure tokens to pop another food, since the treasure tokens are just going to be exiled anyway. Okay, so now I've got my 2 planeswalkers versus his 1 Teferi, which, I'll be honest, I don't have high faith in just the Obnixilis. Like, they're very good when accompanied by other things, but I think... Oh, hey, never mind. That's good. So I want to make a token here, actually, I think, so that I can at least present threats. I'm still going to uptick here and keep the discard train going if possible. Discarding another Teferi. Okay, so let's see if this is like an absorb in his hand. No, we just get to make another Fable here. I think I'm mostly okay with that-ish. I do have a lot of permanents on the battlefield. 1 top and 1 bottom. Okay, so the one on top, not gonna lie, scares me. Let's see what ends up happening here. A Prairie Stream. Otawara gets rid of the token of Obnixilis, which makes a lot of sense. Can't lie and say I'm super happy about it, but it does make sense. I also need to just keep an eye out on Teferi because it is at 8 loyalty. So if he like makes a token and blocks like that, then I do need to just make sure I'm aware that this Devil token can ping Teferi and keep it away from the ultimate for a turn. However, the Eye Tyrant, I think, is not the draw I want. Harvester is not that bad. So let's uptick here. Discards a Cycle land. Okay, noted. So I'm going to attack like so. Yeah, okay. So he blocks the one that's going to the face, and even if he points something at the devil can still ping Teferi. Okay, so now the trigger is going to go here so that we don't get ultimated, and I'm going to try to resolve this Blood Tithe Harvester. He's got exactly 3 mana, which could be an absorb. It is, so he's going to go up to 8, and now we still have to worry about Teferi. His Hall could cleanly kill this Hollow Storm Giants as well, or this can attack here. There we go, words are hard. So he's going to get to draw another card here. And now what? Narset. Okay, so I'm glad Narset actually came down before the second chapter because I got to actually use it and get rid of the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. But this doesn't necessarily mean I'm super happy about this, especially since this can actually get rid of my token. Cat is actually not that terrible. I am stuck worrying about that again though, which kind of sucks. Wait, what am I talking about? I think I'm just dead to that. Yeah, I'm not getting out of this. All right. All right, Teferi, you got me. So I want the Bankbusters, I want the Kolaghan's Commands, and I want the 2 copies of Duress. Cards that I don't want include Claim to Firstborn and Fatal Push. And now we submit. Okay, we got bopped there, so we do get to play first. And my hand is, once again, pretty decent, actually. I do like casting the Witch's Oven here. And I've got 2 more lands, which is pretty perfect for what I want to do with like the rest into Fable here. And the cat is like very close to being best possible draw because I can sacrifice the cat for the Obnixilis and just immediately start that little pain train going. I'm gonna take the Rest in Peace. Yeah, let's not deal with that, right? All right, so let's go ahead and start this toxic ass cat stuff. And the cool part about doing this is that I'm not gonna walk my Fable into this. But what I will do is casualty here, and even if he Aether Gusts, I still get one of my Obnixilis to resolve. So that part feels pretty good. So realistically, he should copy, or sorry, it's the token. Yeah, whatever. Let's be funny and put it at the bottom. Okay. Okay, so now we get to put this up to 3. See what's discarded. It's a basic island. And here I care a lot less about Mayhem Devil than I do the Fable. So I'm going to cast this first and let it catch the Absorb. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the discard. And I'm going to cast the Fable now. Okay, perfect. It resolves. Sick. So now I'm pretty happy about that. If he has some kind of removal spell or wants to use Lay Down Arms, then I get to immediately start doing annoying cat stuff. I'm going to go ahead and discard the Swamp here. Don't really want that. Let's plus before I attack. Lay Down Arms is done. Okay. And I'm going to make an attack here. Even if he does Shark where X is 3, I can still Witch's Oven. And actually, no, even I can Deadly Dispute. That's even better. What am I talking about? Okay. So I'm actually going to respond to that by Deadly Disputing, pitching the Treasure token because it's just going to replace itself anyway. So I'd rather get my 2 cards while the getting's good. And a Kolaghan's Command is actually pretty great here. I can buy back my Mayhem Devil if I want to. 2 on top. Okay. So I'm going to do this in his upkeep. And this way, I can go ahead and make him use his mana if he doesn't want this to happen. Okay, so it is going to happen. Well, land goes away. And now let's see what happens with the rest of his turn. Does he have like a Teferi or something equally scary? Or the 2 cards exactly like land plus 6 drop. Oh shit. Land plus 6 drop. Okay, that is a hell of a 6 drop. All right. So we get to go ahead and make a land drop here. And I'm going to put the Mayhem Devil into play. Here's this. Hilariously enough, the life gain might actually matter here, but I have a Devil in play, so I'm actually going to gain 2 life off of Upnix. And let's start the attack. Since I made a treasure token, I also will get to draw a card with the Bankbuster at end of turn here. So if this is just like some big scary spell, Narset certainly counts as a big scary spell, then I'll be fairly happy to like draw a card, hopefully get out of some of this mess. And honestly, the Aether Gust is going to be pretty good. Oh, whoops, I don't want to crew, I want to draw. So I'm going to target the Narset with the Mayhem Devil, hopefully preventing more just random shenanigans, you know. So I'm going to do the discard mode. I don't necessarily mind if he wants to Aether Gust getting rid of this. It's not my favorite thing to have happen, but this is going to be a pretty big threat too. Okay, now I get to go ahead and Reflection here to see if he wants to use the Aether Gust on the Blood Tithe Harvester. If so, I'm going to get to, okay, yep, he's going to make a 2/2 Aether Gust. First, we're going to crew. Oh, that's not the right one. And then I'm going to sacrifice the Blood Tithe Harvester, getting rid of the 2/2 Shark. Oh, the Aether Gust wasn't on the, oh my god. Oh, I feel so bad now. All right, well, happened. I actually thought the entire time that the Aether Gust was on the Harvester, not on the Mayhem Devil. Yeah, okay. I guess I do want that. All right, goodbye, sweet shark token. Oh, that was a hell of a mistake to make. All right, so let's just make my land drop and buy Gigantha, I guess. But that was not great. Not necessarily my smartest move there. What is that? A quick study. Okay, sure. Quick Study, I don't actually care about here since he's kind of tied up on mana, but the Shark Typhoon getting extra tokens and whatnot is going to be fairly rough. The cool part here is that, yeah, I was going to say Obnixilus's -7 plus the cat for 8 life is going to seal the deal, and I don't have to walk into Absorb, so that game was pretty much done there. Now we get to go into another game 3. Let's see if this one's just as tight as the last match was. Ooh, we got a bit of a gamble here. So, if I see a red land, then triple 2-drop plus Deadly Disputes is pretty good. If I don't see a red land, this is kind of miserable, but I am on the draw, so I'll be willing to gamble it. We made it. All right, never didn't have it. Jay, whenever you watch this video, that red land absolutely started in my hand the entire time. Nothing else ever happened, and anybody watching, shut your mouth, it was there the whole time. So, we're going to go ahead and attack here. If he wants to do anything about this attack, looks like no. I am going to be willing to walk this into a copy of a Censor or an Aether Gust. I think I'm okay with that. I would rather develop the Fable than potentially develop another Harvester and walk into something like a Supreme Verdict, or even, well, this is fine if he just wants to Field of Ruin. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the other basic swamp here. I do have Sekenzen for another red land anyway, so I'm pretty fine with that. Okay, what do I want to do with this? I think I'm going to pitch Oven plus Harvester 2. And honestly, that doesn't even feel bad. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. So let's get an attack in. And I'm not going to... I will buy Jeff. That I will do. I was going to say, I don't really want to... Oh, that's annoying. Are we making a token or are we exiling somebody? Exile. I don't mind turning you into cards. Alright, so now we still have a full grip, which means that a card like Narset is a lot less scary, even if Teferi is a giant pain in the ass. Okay, so we're going to do the untap here, and of note, my Sekenzen could very well clean up something later on too. He does make a token. You don't have First Strike on unless you do the +1 mode, right? Yeah. Alright, I don't want to do anything else here. I'm just gonna... Hey, that's really good. Alright, so is there a creature in here? I think I just sacked one, right? Yeah, okay. So what I want to do here is start by Kolaghan's Command for damage and a discard? No, damage and buyback. I want to buy back a Harvester and kill this. Okay, cool. Glad that worked. Now, I want to attack his face. No, I'll attack the fairy. So this way, if I end up having to... Yeah, I think this is fine. So I get to make Cauldron Familiar, and if he decides to use a sweeper, I can Deadly Dispute at the very least and kind of continue going from there. That doesn't feel too terrible. If this ends up being a farewell, that sucks. Okay, it was. That sucked. I mean, yeah, not much I can do about that. All right. So I'm going to sacrifice the cat, I guess. First, Ramunap Ruins. And I don't have another great thing to do here, so I'm going to use my blood token, getting rid of the Harvester that we know about. Okay. That actually kind of sucks, not gonna lie. Teferi is just not the thing we really want to be dealing with for any reason. A Bankbuster, however, is quite good. So I have 5 mana to play with. I'm gonna cast Bankbuster first. Yeah, I guess this is fine. So let's cast my Bankbuster, see if that resolves. It does. Since it resolved, I'm going to play my untapped land and play my Blood Tithe Harvester. This way I have 2 mana left over to use my Bankbuster. I like that. And I still have a surprise again. We're just tapping 6 mana for a shark. Okay, yeah, that happens. So of note, things like a Quick Study could help him out quite a bit. That farewell was really good. Now what do I want to do to start with? I want to cast my Mayhem Devil to see if I'm walking into something like an Absorb or an Aether Gust first. It is an Absorb, and he makes a 3/3. Got it. Okay. I don't enjoy it, but it's going to happen. So now I'm going to crew my 4/4 with my 3/2, and this way I get to threaten Teferi's life. If he blocks, okay. If he doesn't block, that's better. And now I'm gonna simply resolve this and play my Hive and hope for not another farewell. Rest in Peace is obnoxious, but I think I'm actually kind of okay with that since the mode I want to use Kolaghan's Command with wasn't buying back a creature anyway. I do like... So let's get rid of just Blood Crypt. I guess that's fine. And start off with the Duress. So if this catches a veto or something, then he makes a 2/2, but whatever. Yeah, it was always kind of going to happen there. So now I'm going to play you as a black land. I want a Kolgan's Command to discard and to damage. Player target. Okay, good start, good start. And now I want to... There's a Castle Ardenvale there. Okay. I want to attack Tef here and your face here. So this is really bad if he's got specifically a quick study in hand. If he's just going to like block here and let Tef take damage, I'm actually kind of okay with that. What's this, an Iganjo? Damn it, it actually is. Okay, not going to lie. Iganjo sucks. But now we get to see what this last card is. Hopefully it is not a freaking Absorb. If it's an Aether Gust, I'll put Jeff back on top. If an Absorb, I guess I cry. It's not. Cool. So now I'm hoping for not Farewell. Like, yes, this is still really annoying. Quick Study, we talked about that already. Prairie Stream, okay. And now he's got exactly 117 mana. It's a lot of mana. All right. So now we get to do that, and I've got a Hive of the Eye Tyrant. So what I want to do is fire up the Hive. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And I want to attack here and hope that this is not the Settle the Wreckage that we saw in a previous match. Please, for the love of God, do not do that to me. Aether Gusting my Jeff, making a 2/2. Okay. Not happy about it. It happens. Jeff is going to go on top. I do, in fact, want to redraw 5/5. So now we can double block and save to Fairy, or I'm dead. I am dead. All right, jeez. Okay, so last deck of the day, we're going to be playing some Greasefang, and this will, of course, be a deck that a lot of y'all are familiar with. The idea is simply to put things down and pick them up. By that, I mean you want a copy of Parhelion 2 in the graveyard so that you can reanimate it with Greasefang Okiba Boss. This card says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you return a vehicle from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it has haste, but you have to bounce it back to your hand at the beginning of the end step. With Parhelion 2, it normally costs 8 mana, so if you reanimate it with a 3 mana card, you're cheating pretty hard on its cost. It's got Flying, First Strike, and Vigilance. It's a 5/5, but the important part is when this card attacks, you get 2 4/4 angels that have Flying and Vigilance, but those don't get bounced back. Those actually stay on the table. So you just get to attack for 13 one good time, and you leave behind 2 4/4s in the process. Well, 13 plus 8 is 21. So that's basically a lethal attack over the course of 2 turns. All you have to do is put one of these in the graveyard and resolve this one good time. To support it, we've got a bunch of cards that draw cards and discard cards when they enter the battlefield. So we've got 4 Raffine's Informant and 4 copies of Professor in Symbology. We also have 4 copies of Grizzly Salvage. To look at the top 5, you get a creature or a land, so you can find your Greasefang or find a land drop, all while putting vehicles and things into your graveyard. But Parhelion's not going to be the only vehicle we play. We've got a Seeker's Chariot and Sky Sovereign to go along with that. A card a lot of y'all are going to remember is also going to be Liliana of the Veil. She's a reprinted Planeswalker, so she is Pioneer/Explorer legal, and honestly, the -2 and the -6 are pretty good, but she's in this deck because of the +1. Each player discarding a card, well, you get to discard the vehicles that you want to reanimate with Greasefang. Your opponent is likely going to have to discard real cards. So pretty one-sided Planeswalker. In our sideboard, we've got additional copies of Liliana to make the full 4 copies here, and 2 copies of Duress. On top of your 4 copies of Thoughtseize in the main deck, that makes for a pretty robust discard package, and that makes you pretty decent against both control decks, which of course, that's going to be relevant today, and combo decks, which that's not necessarily what Jamal's doing today, but other people certainly will. And we've got copies of Reckoner Bankbuster that are also going to be good against him, just like in both of the other 2 matchups. We've got 4 copies of Noxious Grasp, and these are going to be primarily because of the fact that Mono Green is the most popular / best deck in the entire format. Being mono green, everything in their deck is green. We don't want to deal with that mess. But also random things that are white, like mono white, aggro, and planeswalkers like Teferi. Noxious Grasp has a lot of jobs right now. Rave Enfeeblement, creatures get -4/-1, but if it's a white creature, it gets -4/-4 instead. Especially good against mono white, but this card is pretty good against spirits. The downside to playing spirits is the entire rest of the matchup. This deck is absolutely abysmal into spirits. If you are in an area where a lot of spirits players live, I'll be honest, don't buy this deck. You are going to have a bad time. I think when playing this deck, I've beaten spirits maybe 5 times ever. it's not a good matchup. Don't do it to yourself. But anyway, that's going to be Greasefang. That matchup aside, this deck's pretty fun, so let's jam and see what happens. Okay, this hand is actually not bad on the play. So on the play, I get to go Grizzly Salvages, and the Liliana's should provide quite a good amount of help against what he's doing here. So let's see what actually ends up happening once I resolve these. And of note, I will be jamming these at sorcery speed to avoid 2 mana counter spells. So let's do this and dig for hopefully a white land. Do I want Greasefang or a white land more? I actually do want the white land more than a Greasefang, which obviously sounds like a little bit of heresy given the fact that we're, you know, the Greasefang deck. But he sees that we don't have Parhelion in the graveyard, so he might actually put a land into play tapped and I can resolve Liliana. Nope. Okay. You know what? That's good too, though. So here I get to Thoughtseize and resolve the Rafine's Informant. Lay down arms, quick study, Tef. I don't care about any of those. So I'm going to get rid of quick study, let him get rid of Rafine's Informant, and then if I draw Parhelion, or sorry, if I draw Greasefang, great. If I don't, then I get to resolve Liliana, and that's good too. So like, I don't care about this at all. So there's the Field of Ruin, and we're fielding to get rid of Temple Garden, actually. Okay. Well, joke's on you. We play some Legacy. I am a fan of having basics in a deck. So he gets to use a Lay Down Arms for XS2, and I don't get to draw land for Azeka's Chariot, but I am still pretty glad to discard Parhelion here. And the other card was Lay Down Arms, noted. So now he's got the Memory Deluge that he can use, a mystery card that I don't really know anything about, which I suppose is fine, but I'm going to start off by discarding the 5-drop vehicle here. And the discard is actually the Deluge. Okay, which means this is likely a counterspell. So I'm gonna Thoughtseize. So if it's a counterspell, so be it. If it's not, I'm taking Teferi. Yeah, that smells like a... Oh, Wandering Emperor. Yeah, I'm still taking Teferi. So the Wanderer can come in. She makes a 2/2. The 2/2 attacks Liliana. I can untap and... Oh, I'm sorry. This is a 3, not a 2. Yeah. So now if I want to make him get rid of this, then I've got to sacrifice the Liliana. But at this point, I actually think I'm just... Oh, never mind. Let's Grizzly Salvage first and look for a land. Find one. Perfect. And the land I want most is... I actually think I just take the Branchloft Pathway and put it on white. Or, no, I want to... Yeah. So I want to discard. There we go. Get rid of the last card in hand, discard Fatal Push, and simply let this thing... Liliana, I guess? No, that was a mistake. Oh well, too late now. I don't want to discard the land because I do want to resolve... Oh, hey, all right. So we can scry and kill the Liliana. The trade-off is that I get to resolve this or potentially even draw into a Greasefang. Okay, so I'm going to try to resolve this. Do not. Oh, come on. Okay, that was a great top deck. I'm still pissed though. Oh, I'm super mad. It was a really good top deck. Okay, so now I get to do this and try to spin into a Greasefang. I do spin into a Greasefang, and I have the land, so let's jam. Come on and slam. And welcome to the jam. Hooray! Non-sarcastic hooray. So I get the Parhelion, we get to do the Parhelion thing, and I get to attack Wandering Emperor here, and the tokens will both attack face. Please let this card be useless. Nope, that is not useless. That's actually kind of sucks. So he gets to go ahead and block the Parhelion, keeping this alive, and my Angels will hit for 8. Then he gets to untap and immediately gets to kill the Greasefang with the -2 here. We know that I have Can't Stay Away and another Greasefang in the graveyard, so it's not the worst, but it's not actually good either. So I do take this, I go down to 5, cry about that, and let's see if I can resolve this. Do not be another counterspell, okay? Now don't be... Okay, good. I was gonna say, now don't be something that can respond to this. And finally, don't actually be... I don't know what I don't want to see, but I don't want to see it. I just want to attack everybody at the face for lethal. If it's a Shark Typhoon, you should cycle for X is 1. Nope, okay. I actually don't know that I like doing that. I think he should have cycled for X is 1 to give himself the chance to draw into March of Otherworldly Light. Because 1/1 versus a 3/3 Shark blocking Parhelion doesn't matter at all. But if he spun into March of Otherworldly Light, he could have killed an Angel too. So it's not like this is necessarily a good look no matter what. But I think that would have been a better opportunity for him to do something relevant. So we can get rid of Greasefang number 2 here, gain 2 life, go up to 3, attack here. I block with only 1 angel because I don't want to like kill my squad. But yeah, I think I'm okay with this. Like, to actually kill this through removal spell, I would have had to draw all 4. Or, I'm sorry, block with all 4 angels, because the first strike kills one of these, and if I only block with 2, a March of Otherworldly Light doesn't do the job. So I'm going to wing for the fences. Okay, so there's the March. Okay, sweet. But that actually is exactly what I was talking about if he drew into the March. Wait, did we just play best of 1, not best of 3? Oops. Okay, so now we're actually in a best of 3 game, and we get the die roll again, which is pretty sick. So I'm going to go ahead and have access to this Professor of Symbology, which hopefully digs me into a, never mind, we just had it the whole time, but now we just get to run a turn 3 Greasefang. So, hooray, we are doing the stupid broken combo. So you have a March of Otherworldly Light and a bunch of white cards to pitch to it? Looks like the answer is actually yes. Alright, so while it is annoying that we don't just get to combo kill there, I'm still not exactly sad. So let's go ahead and Thoughtseize first, see what happens here. I kind of wish I had to land drop for a Seeker's Chariot, but it's all... Ooh, that's rough. It's almost better that I don't, and now I'm just going to Rafine's Informant. So we get to draw what? Takanuma. I do want the 4th land, and I want Grizzly Salvage less than I want the ability to play around Shark Typhoon. So since we are working with a relatively fair plan here, I think I want the ability to play around Shark Typhoon more than I really care about trying to combo again. Okay, we draw another Parhelion. Don't really care about that too much. And I'm not going to walk my Chariot into an Absorb, so we'll just pass. It's still currently his job to actually do something about what I've got going on, since I do have a clock. Okay, a second Chariot is actually pretty good. Do I bother walking a counterspell into... the answer is actually yes. So I don't want the Absorb in hand, and right now I'm already working with a 2-turn clock. If I go up to 9 and I'm doing 5, it's still a 2-turn clock, so that doesn't actually change anything. Oven's Veto. Okay. I actually understand it, but I don't know if I like it, since he's still in a fairly precarious scenario. Like, this specific list isn't playing Witherbloom Command, but doesn't know that. Okay, so we've got a Narset, which I believe is actually fine. Narset into Wandering Emperor. Wandering Emperor is pretty good. And that puts Absorbed Mana back up. Understood. So we're going to do this and this. I don't have to worry about the Wandering Emperor here. So I'm just going to pass the turn, I believe. Yeah. So now what he can do is play Wandering Emperor during his turn. Nope. Okay. Sure. So what I'm going to do here is attack both. He does Wandering Emperor, picks down, and I'm going to Fatal Push the creature that... Actually, no, I'm just going to resolve my Chariot. What am I talking about? Yeah, whatever. You go up to 6, take that, go down to 4. I get to resolve this Chariot through your Absorb, and now you're still stuck dealing with the same problems. That's way better. So I was thinking of using Fatal Push, targeting my own creature to deny the life gain, but I actually just don't care. So he can make a 2/2 to block, and that is what he does. But we know that I've got the Fatal Push now, and even if he uses the Absorb, I'm looking at a minimum of 6 damage still here. Yeah. So let's do this. Make him use the Absorb, and then I'm going to cast my Grizzly Salvage while the getting's good. So what do I have? A land lets me cast Can't Stay Away, targeting Professor. Yeah. And doing that allows me to use the Professor as crew for the Chariot. Okay, I like that. I'm going to discard the Parhelion to draw, and now I get to crew here and make another cat. So this does kind of bite it to a copy of like a sweeper, like if he's got, I don't know, say a Farewell or a Supreme Verdict or something. Quick Study is not a Farewell, and a Supreme Verdict is supremely annoying, but I have a Hive of the Eye Tyrant, he's at 3, I've got a bunch of attackers. If he casts Supreme Verdict, I can still Can't Stay Away Professor to get rid of a land. So overall, we're still not really feeling too bad. Lay Down Arms, I gained 3, not him, so that's fine. And is there any reason to crew? No. I'm actually not going to crew, because if he had, say, like, I don't know, a Shark Typhoon plus like a Lay Down Arms, he could have technically gotten rid of 2 attacking creatures out of my 3, and I just don't need that negativity in my life, right? So we're going to put in all the discards things, and we're going to put in the... Wait, does this do planeswalkers? It does do planeswalkers. I don't think I want all 4 of those, though. What else do I not necessarily want? I don't really want the Can't Stay Aways, and I don't want Sky Sovereigns either. So... is there anything else that I don't particularly want? Not really. So I'm only going to put in one of these Noxious Grasp because they can kill Teferi, but I'm not going to put in really anything else. I do need to worry a little bit about Rest in Peace, but that's actually kind of the reason that we want the extra Lilianas and the Bankbusters, so that we can have a more robust, fair plan here. Yeah, hand's fine. I can turn 1 Thoughtseize. Hopefully turn 2 is a resolved Bankbuster. So let's start by trying that. Rest in Peace, March. Well, I guess I'll take the Rest in Peace. All right, so we're going to play our white land and resolve this. Which is actually really funny because I just realized now that all 3 of the decks that we are playing here are decks that actively wanted to resolve the the Bankbuster here. So that's actually kind of funny that that's how that worked out. But let's go ahead and duress again. I assume he casts a Quick Study. If he... Oh no, he just let it happen. Okay. Supreme Verdict, Aether Gust, March. I'm going to take the March and allow him to Quick Study into land drops, right? Let's think about that. No, let's think. Many decisions. So, my decision trees are, I can Aether Gust to give myself a better chance to resolve the Seeker's Chariot that I have in hand and know that I have a land for. I can get rid of Supreme Verdict effectively for the kind of the same reason, but I care about this a lot less. I can get rid of one of the Quick Studies to deny him access to double Quick Study for a higher chance to hit land drops. But in a 27 land deck, I don't really know that that's what I want to do. I can also March of Otherworldly Light to negate his ability to get rid of my Bankbuster, and I think that's actually the wave. I would much rather use my mana drawing cards than trying to have a futile attempt at denying his plan. If he only had 1 Quick Study, then I think it's a lot easier and I get rid of the Quick Study. Okay, so now we've got a Professor, and I'm going to Overgrown Tomb because I do want to cast a Professor. If he uses a counterspell on it, great. So I will discard a Parhelion and draw a Forest. Sure thing. So I'm actually pretty lucky that we got this Noxious Grasp here, because if he resolves Teferi, what I'm going to do is put that draw ability on the stack and use this, but instead I'm just going to go ahead and draw here, I guess. Temple Garden isn't bad. Okay. Shark, where X is 3, walks him into a Liliana. Okay, that is not what happens. Noted. So now what do I want to do? I think I want to just cast Liliana, holding up the option of either Noxious Grasp or drawing with this Bankbuster. We've got 2 mystery cards, so it's not guaranteed to resolve, but it resolves. Sick. Yep, we resolved the Quick Study to see if you have access to a better discard. I'm going to discard a Temple Garden that I don't really care about. And since he knows now that I play a basic Plains, I'm a lot less worried about him trying to get cute with Field of Ruin. 6 mana is Rest in Peace? Yeah, sure. Rest in Peace is actually okay. Like, this is why we sided into the things like the Bankbuster, so that we just, like, have a really good fair plan, even when this thing resolves. But the rest is actually quite nice. So I'm going to uptick my friend Liliana, discard the basic Plains? No. I'm going to discard the Noxious Grasp. If I end up biting it to exactly a Teferi... What was that? Farmland, okay. If I end up biting it to exactly Teferi because of that decision, then, like, okay, you got me. But I think this is going to give me the best option to play a bunch of Magic. And the biggest shark that we can make currently is 2, so this is a safe attack. We are casting Settle the Wreckage. I'm pretty okay with that, actually. So I want 2 basic swamps for my 2 attacking creatures, and I'm gonna cast this. Meow. Cast this. Goodbye. Play this land for turn, and pass. Now we've got a lot of permanents on the table, and he's under a pretty heavy constraint on his mana since I'm in the middle of trying to kill him, and he needs to find like another Supreme Verdict or something relatively soon. Although Settle the Wreckage is pretty freaking good as far as ways to solve problems go. It's a card that I keep trying to consider for spirits and just like never actually pull the trigger on. I don't know how much I like it, but I think it's something I have the ability to work with here. Grizzly Salvage is actually not that bad. So I'm going to play a land here. I'm going to tap these for Grizzly Salvage just to dig up a threat. I don't care what the threat is. I guess I'm going to take a Rafine's Informant. And then I'm going to cast Rafine's Informant. I'm not going to bother conniving. Actually, no, I should connive. Okay, so he's thinking about whether to counterspell or not. That's fine. I kind of want him to, if I'm being honest. Dang it. Oh no, Beseiju. I actually kind of wanted that. So now let's discard. What was that? Oh, the absorb. Okay. And I still have enough mana to use this without using my treasure. And I'm going to crew here and here. Since we only have 3 mana right now, I want to make... It's another 2/2 is fine, I guess. Okay, so let's see what manner of bad thing happens here. Sunset Revelry is actually pretty good. So he gets to gain a bunch of life and make 2 tokens. Okay, so now I can salvage for a creature that can hopefully crew this chariot. That is 4 power. And I have just enough mana to activate you with the treasure token. So you go down to 2, and I actually want to discard the last card in your hand more than I care about taking you down to 3 lands. No. Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, we're gonna Liliana on the way out. But, alright, GG's, homie.